Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. And first of all, Mr. Wilson, I appreciate your testimony today, and I think you've been forthright and candid. We appreciate the work of CMS. We mandate that you save money. We legislate that you save money. But the question is how you go about doing it. And sometimes I think you have to report back to us that if we want quality care, it may be hard to save as much money as we're asking you to save. And that's the reality of it. And whether you're Republican or Democrat, we don't want fat, we don't want excess spending, we want to reduce taxes, but we want a realistic assessment of what it takes to deliver quality health care to our Medicare population, and also Medicaid. But I'm just talking about the next step. It's really important, and what I've discovered, and I'm sure that this is not going to be any different, whatever CMS does sets the baseline and the standard, and then is adopted by the private sector, the private payer. So if you determine what is proper protocol, if you determine what is the proper equipment, if you determine what are those guidelines and restrictions and so on, and what you're going to pay for it, my understanding is the private sector is real happy. They adopt it, and I mean, there's tremendous consequences to what you do. Staff always prepares a memo, and I always want to thank staff for preparing these memos because they're just incredible. And this is what it says. The CMS bidding process consists of 3 stages. The stages are fairly complex, but simply stated, the process involves the following. 1, a pre-screening stage. 2, a bid submission stage. And 3, a pricing stage. And I'm always caught up in process. I love process because the quality of the process determines the quality of the product. I'm wondering, was this all done in-house, or did you contract out? Because CMS does that. I know that we have this RAC program with physicians where private contractors go out there and try to fight overpayments, and that's private sector run, and it's a contingency fee. And that has always bothered me, but I'm just wondering, I'm just assuming all this pre-screening and the bidding process was conducted by in-house CMS personnel, or was that contracted out?
Most of the work was contracted out to a competitive bidding implementation contractor, or CBIC.
And what was the basis for payment? I mean, there's no contingency, I would imagine, because they're just putting out that we can save money. But surely the incentive would be there to come back and tell you this is the way we're going to save money. They're not, you didn't hire them to come back and tell you we can't save you any money. But what was the contractual relationship? Was it just a straight payment for their work? Or was there an incentive to say, if you come back with a 10% savings, then your compensation may be predicated on what you can save? Anything like that?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
This program is based on a fairly well-prescribed methodology for pricing bid evaluation that was put forward in a regulation through a public process with an advisory committee composed of industry, beneficiary, and practitioners, and I think very well thought out in that regard, but nothing like that.
All right. Well, I appreciate it very much. I yield back.
Thank you, Mr. Gonzalez. Mr. Wilson, thank you for your testimony, and I want to thank your staff as well, and I hope that, I assume most of the CMS staff here, I think it's even more important and more vital, and I know that your time is very valuable. It's even more important that you hear the testimony from the next 2 panels. We can talk about it. We've discussed it with so many of the panels, but I think it's vital that as many of you can stay and listen to the testimony of the so that would be very helpful. And I think we just got work in progress. As so often we do here in Washington, sometimes policy looks good on paper, and then when we enact it, then we've got some work to do. So we've got our work cut out for us. I think, as you see, it's this committee has always been very bipartisan. We try to work together, and I think you've seen it from David Davis in Tennessee to Ms. Clark in New York that we have some work to do, and the most important thing is quality of care. So let's please take that in consideration, and I do commend you for your testimony and for your honesty.